On October 2, 2001, something almost unimaginable happened in Switzerland. Swissair, the country's national airline, stopped flying because it no longer had enough usable cash to keep its aircraft operating. For decades, Swissair had seemed almost untouchable. It was even nicknamed the Flying Bank because of its reputation for financial strength. Then, in a single afternoon, aircraft were left on the ground and thousands of passengers were stranded. But Swissair did not collapse because of one bad day. The real story had been building for years. After Switzerland voted not to join the European Economic Area in 1992, Swissair faced a harder position in Europe's increasingly integrated aviation market. Management responded with an aggressive expansion plan known as the Hunter strategy. Instead of relying only on partnerships, Swissair bought stakes in a series of smaller European airlines. The problem was that several of those airlines were already losing money. Swissair hoped that bringing them into its network would create a powerful European group. Instead, the investments became expensive obligations. Losses grew, debt increased, and the company's financial position became dangerously weak. Then came September 11, 2001. The attacks caused a sudden drop in international air travel. For a healthy airline, that would have been painful. For Swissair, already under severe financial pressure, it was the final shock. By the beginning of October, the company was facing an immediate liquidity crisis. Liquidity simply means cash that is actually available to pay today's bills. An airline can own aircraft and other valuable assets and still be unable to operate if it cannot immediately pay for fuel, airport services, and other daily costs. That is what made October 2 so extraordinary. Swissair had aircraft, pilots, passengers, and scheduled flights. What it lacked was enough accessible cash to keep the system moving. Emergency financing being arranged around the restructuring did not reach operations in time, and the fleet was grounded. Later investigations concluded that serious management failures and the disastrous expansion strategy had driven Swissair into the crisis. September 11 accelerated the collapse. It did not create the underlying problem. The grounding was not quite the final end. The Swiss government provided emergency financing, allowing some Swissair flights to resume while a new airline was prepared around regional carrier Crossair. In 2002, that successor became Swiss International Airlines. So the day Swissair stopped flying was shocking, not because a strong airline suddenly failed overnight. It was shocking because a company once called the Flying Bank had become so financially fragile that on October 2, it could no longer pay the everyday costs required to keep its planes in the air.